Hello there and welcome to AF Anime. I am John and today I'm going to be discussing all of the news and information we have regarding the upcoming 2022 Dragon Ball Super movie, Superheroes. And I suppose the first thing I should say about the upcoming movie is that there really isn't a whole lot of information. Now, I have to kind of ask myself here whether or not this lack of information is specifically for spoilers or for sales. Now, that might seem odd, but what I really mean is that spoilers for any work of media or art typically can have a effect of dampening the impact that a creator or a studio wants to have for the audience upon seeing something for the first time. So if that's the case here, I can't really blame Toei or Akira Toriyama for wanting to keep that information limited. However, on the sales aspect, it could be possible that the storyline may not have that same kind of life and death scenario or the same kind of dire consequences as, say, a Brawly or a Frieza returning to Earth or something to that effect. Now, as much as we love the action of Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Super, it's been very entertaining. We can't deny the fact that Dragon Ball still is a comedy for the most part. And with that being said, we have to accept the fact that it's entirely possible that a Dragon Ball movie may be fun or funny. Now, a true Dragon Ball fan is going to go see this movie either way. What I meant by addressing the sales is that there may be a small segment of Dragon Ball fans who may not go to see this movie if it's more of a fun and happy-go-lucky campy movie. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by a campy Dragon Ball experience, I would say look no further than the return of Son Goku and Friends. Now, to my knowledge, that wasn't a theatrical release, but the plot line involved had no real seriousness or no real intensity to it. It was just more of a campy, feel-good kind of story. Now, obviously, we can't really know for sure how this story is going to play out. We'll just have to wait for more information to be released from the companies involved. However, I will say going forward that the greater extent of Pan's involvement in the story, the more likely it is to be a lighthearted affair. In any case, that's just a little bit of speculation on my behalf about the lack of information. So now I can get on to the things that we do know about this movie so far. Now, I suppose the first thing that we can address is the placement in the Dragon Ball timeline for the events of this movie. And it would appear that this movie takes place in the age of 784, just before the Peaceful World saga, which, if you didn't know, that saga includes the final episodes of Dragon Ball Z where Goku and the others have a time skip. We meet Pan for the first time when they attend a world tournament, which concludes with Goku flying off with Oob. Now, personally, the choice to put this movie within that time frame is a little bit bittersweet on my behalf, at least. And that would be because it would mean that they are doing a more thorough job of filling in the gaps between the beginning of Dragon Ball Super and the end of Dragon Ball Z. I mean, personally, I am excited about seeing the character designs for characters like Goten and Trunks, but still, even with those potential reveals, we don't even know if Goten and Trunks are going to be present in this movie, much less if it would be satisfying seeing them in this new 3D-ish art form. And I suppose that's a good segue for the next bit of information we have regarding this movie, and that would be the confirmed characters thus far. And so far we have Goku, Vegeta, Krillin, Korin, Piccolo, Bulma, Brawly, Dende, and Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Now, we wouldn't have any official confirmation, but it would appear that Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are Red Ribbon androids, and possibly even the reasoning for this movie being called Superhero. And there are also some other Red Ribbon related characters who don't have names and aren't really officially tied into the plot yet. But more importantly than that, it would seem that Pan will be present and might even have a major role to play in this upcoming movie. And yet still, another oddball among that group of characters would be the man Brawly from the last movie. Now, this narrative choice kind of strikes me as odd, but I think I can come up with a way that he could still fit in this storyline. And I'll break that down towards the end of the video when I offer up my theory on what the plot of this movie is going to be about. But before that, we can talk about the character designs that we just recently had revealed at the New York Comic Con, and we can also discuss the unique choice for the artwork and animation style of this upcoming Dragon Ball movie. And I suppose we can start that by grouping in Piccolo, Korin, and Krillin as characters who really don't look too much different. However, I do need to lump Krillin and Bulma in the same category in the sense that there appears to be a little bit of retconning in regards to this timeline placement with these characters. For example, Bulma looks a lot older in the end of the Dragon Ball Z series, which is supposed to take place shortly after this movie. And Krillin also seems to be a bit out of place in terms of his design choice, at least in relativity to the Peaceful World saga, where he had hair and also appeared to be a bit older. Now, with those two characters aside, we also get a reveal for Dende's design, and he seems to be a little bit taller, and while he still does look young, he does appear to at least be a bit closer to a full-grown adult Namekian. Now, moving on to Pan's design, we see that she is in a school uniform, and I think that her design is pretty good. I mean, personally, I think that the artist did a great job of blending the two characters of Gohan and Videl, and still managed to make it feel like both characters are represented in her design. And finally, the last character concept art that we get for the movie is the designs of Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 respectively. And I gotta say that I do like these designs in general. It seems like a callback to the Dragon Ball era Red Ribbon Army. And I mean, this is something we haven't really seen in a really long time. Even androids 18, 17, and 16 didn't fit that old school Red Ribbon feel, and neither did the androids from the Android 13 movie either. So I think that is a nice callback to that classic Red Ribbon, and even though guns, blasters, lasers haven't really been super effective or relevant within the Dragon Ball franchise, I think it's pretty cool that they incorporated into these characters' outfits and possibly even serve as a strategic tool to use against our overpowered Z fighters. Now, moving on to Goku, we don't actually get a character concept art for him, but we do get a short video teaser to kind of tip us off to how this artwork and animation is going to look. Of course, with Goku being our plain white rice in terms of character designs, he looks the same, but it does serve as giving us a good heads up as to what we can look forward to. And while we're on the topic of that teaser trailer, I have to address my opinion on the artwork and the animation style for this movie. And personally, I have to be honest in saying that I'm not very optimistic about how this animation style will translate to a good fighting scene. Now, this could just be that I'm set in my ways in terms of enjoying my Dragon Ball in the form of 2 dimensions with good shading. But while I was watching the very limited amount of video clips that we have in regards to this movie, I couldn't help but feel like there was this kind of, I don't know, rejected video game content feel to it. Now, that is just one fan's humble opinion, but I will say that I'm going to hold out a little bit of optimism until I can see at least an extended scene and how comfortable or how natural these movements feel, because the trailer we have so far jumps around a lot and doesn't really serve to give us a full grasp of how this animation is going to feel and play out. Now, artwork aside, I gotta say that when it comes to the story, I am fairly optimistic about how this could play out. I think it is fitting that we get a 3rd generation for Goku's family, and the Red Ribbon grudge manages to pop up for Pan at a young age. So that gives us the Red Ribbon trifecta, not to mention with the advancements in technology, it could play a part into making the conflict a little more interesting than just putting out someone who's overpowered. And in regards to that, I will now go into my theory on what this plot is and how this conflict could actually be viable in terms of suspense and challenging the Z Warriors. So, trying to connect the dots with the limited amount of information that we have in regards to this plot, this is my concept of what is probably going to go down in this movie. Now, the most obvious thing to state is that the Red Ribbon Army seems to be wanting to make a comeback, and in order to satisfy their grudge with Goku and wipe out all of the powerful people on Earth, the Red Ribbon Army creates 2 androids in the form of Gammas 1 and 2 and gives them a superhero complex while creating a false spin on Goku, Vegeta, and the other powerful Z Warriors as being their villains. And the only way that I can see this plot working out to be some kind of actual conflict to be concerned about and still work Pan into the story, it would actually have to do with artificial intelligence. Now, my working assumption would be that the only way the Z Warriors could be challenged by androids at this point would be to utilize all of the fight data collected over time in regards to Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and possibly even Broly. And speaking of Broly, the only reason I could see him being brought into this conflict is if the Z Warriors are struggling and getting over on these androids, and their false assumption that they wouldn't have data on Broly would bring him into the conflict. And this would lead to a very far-fetched idea of Pan being the savior of this movie, because she would be the only Z Warrior who hasn't fought and has no data on them yet. So in the trailer that we got, it does appear that Pan seems to be training for something. And this is the only reason I could think that she would be trained up to deal with a conflict when there are multitudes of adults who outclass her in terms of power and experience. But in any case, that's the only rational theory I could come to as to how this plot could play out. Well, in any case, that's going to conclude my information for this video. If there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, let me know if you agree or disagree with the theory. I mean, overall, I am excited to see this movie, and hopefully we'll get some more information during the Jump Festa this December. If you guys enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I would absolutely appreciate that. In any case, I'm John from AF Anime, and I will catch you guys in the next video.